Hey, it's Lauren. Thank you so much for joining me. In today's video, I'm excited to talk about these guys. This is the newest launch from Rituel de Fille. They are the Color Nectar Pigment Balms. I got these a couple days ago and I've been playing with them for the last couple of days, and today I'm sitting down to fully talk about them. So let's dive into it. If you're not familiar with Rituel de Fille, they are a Los Angeles based makeup brand that is founded by three sisters, and it is a cruelty-free makeup brand, all natural, clean. It's a clean beauty makeup brand. There's the other word that I was looking for. So they are one of my favorite makeup brands. If you have been watching my channel for a while, you've probably heard me talk about Rituel de Fille. But if you are new, welcome, and I love this brand. I own a lot of them, and I always get really intrigued when they launch something because they do super unique stuff. They are a makeup artist founded brand. So all of their stuff like really kind of like leans to this sort of like artistry. There's this like witchy, ethereal vibes is kind of like words I hear used to describe the brand. They make really fun, beautiful things. Is everything cream? I'm trying to think if they have any products that aren't cream. Yes. So whenever they launch something, I get really excited because they are a smaller brand and they're not coming out with like a lot of launches. And they do this thing called moon drop. So if you are a person who likes Rituel de Fille, I recommend signing up for their moon drop newsletter. So moon drop is not the product. Moondrop is a monthly thing that the brand does, where, if I'm remembering correctly, it's something that happens around the full moon, where they, just to the people subscribed to that email list, do a like a release of a product. So if it's something that was a limited edition out of like archives and they like bring back, or if it's like kind of like they're testing out new formulas. There's been like two primary like face products that they've come out with recently. So things that are like, they're like testing out and they have like kind of like tester batches, or if they have like secret sales, things like that. So I highly recommend signing up for that list if you are interested, because you also get notified first up for releases like this. So first access kind of thing. So the first batch, whenever they get a product, is something that they like, it's something that ends up going to like distributed as PR. So instead of doing that, they are selling these, and 100% of the proceeds went to Black Lives Matter, the ACLU fund, as well as the LGBTQ Freedom Fund. So I think that's absolutely wonderful. That definitely helped instigate buying the set of 5. So I'm going to talk about them. I'm very distracted by Hoyt and Lemon barking like crazy out there. These will be released again. The like launch date, I believe, is actually July 31st. So let's get into actually talking about the Nectar Bombs. So these guys are a multi-use product. You can use them on your eyes, your lips, your face. So the 5 colors, there is Bee Sting, which is described as a freshly pinched pink, Wasp, a passion fruit yellow, Snapdragon, which is a juicy kumquat, Bloodflower, which is a cherry red glaze, and then lastly is Glasswing, which is a grape jelly. And the colors are all inspired by flowers that like draw in pollinators, which I think is really cool. The colors are fun, and I have a huge mix of them on my face right now. I like toned it down a little bit, but I started out with Wasp kind of all over, draped, and then also built up some of Snapdragon, and I went in with like various amounts of Bloodflower, bit of bee sting, as well as Glasswing, and I really just like let them just kind of like melt into each other. And they're designed to be kind of used in sort of more of like a watercolor kind of like stained glass way, where you really let it just like flush and kind of drape. I have found that they like kind of lose intensity after a little bit, but it also, I might just like still be like kind of like figuring out how best to use them. Areas where I did set down like a bit of like a primer, I had some ease. And then I also just played with putting down a tiny bit of powder to set it. And I found that it has like kind of like sealed the color a little bit, and then I even like applied some over top, and it didn't get weird over the powders. So these guys are a really sort of interesting texture. You can see it kind of like looks a little bit wet in the reflect. The website does describe them as having this sort of like jelly texture and kind of finish. It's not jelly in that sort of like jelly bouncy highlighter. It's more jelly in this sort of like slippiness that it gets in comparison to some other sort of cream products that when you like run your finger on it, sometimes a cream can like almost like stutter a little bit. This is very smooth and like I'd say glassy. But the neat thing about these is that they do dry down. So you'd think something like this texture would remain very, very wet and emollient on the face. Now, I think it does look hydrated, but it's not like heavy feeling at all. Now, the colors are quite vibrant and fun, but they do apply at first quite sheer, and they do build off of themselves pretty well. I've tested applying them with fingers, brushes, and sponges, and although they definitely go on like with the most impact with using fingers, I really love the sort of like watercolor drapey action I can get with using a brush. They are a bit smaller than the other sort of Rituel de Fille compacts. This is the Alchemist highlighter, but this is one of the more affordable products, even though it's smaller. It is definitely on the more affordable side for Rituel de Fille. They are definitely getting into luxury, or they are a luxury brand that I find actually worth it. Oh, and this actually, you can see, although the Alchemist, this is their highlight intensifier, this guy has a very like wet sort of sheen, and then there's like Solaris, which has a bit more density to it. This definitely leans a bit closer to the Alchemist, but the Alchemist is even more like cream gel-like, similar to how the Celestial Eye Soots are. So the orange and the yellow, probably to most people, are a very sort of intense, I'd say like leaning trendy kind of color, but I love the sort of yellow orange trend of blushes that has been like gaining. It's been around for like a minute, but it has been more on like the editorial sort of like high fashion vibes. Like I see it on more experimental makeup accounts, as well as something that I see done and more of an editorial setting where you have a very like blown out yellow orange blush. There isn't too many blushes on the market that are this color. There are a couple that have come out that have been powders. There's this one clown blush palette that's come out within the last year, and then there's actually quite a few K-beauty brands I've seen that have these sort of like fun poppy colors. 3CE has the Take a Layer, and they had that, I think it's the Going Steady palette that has yellow and like a salmon, some colors that are definitely kind of like similar to this. I really wanted that palette for a long time, and it just kept going out of stock, and then it with shipping things coming from Korea, it just probably wasn't going to happen. So when these came out, I was very excited. I get really excited by Rituel de Fille's releases because they usually are like on the forefront of something. They make really interesting textures, and like they follow trends, but it's trends in the sort of like reflecting what's happening in the more like artistic and sort of like editorial makeup artistry realm of things. But then they like do it in their own way, which is super cool. So I think these are a lot of fun. And if you were interested in playing with color, I think this is a really approachable way to do that, especially since it's a multi-use product, and it also like really is a fun way to not only like play with the sort of like draping blush trend that's going on right now, and it's just building and building, as well as like the watercolor trend that has been everywhere, and I have a feeling it's just like gonna get bigger. That was like kind of slated to be a trend already, but I feel like makeup that is like fun and uplifting and almost theatrical in nature is gonna get bigger, because it's kind of like when times are rough, it's like the movies that people are interested in, the tone changes, versus like people are more like receptible to like super sad stuff when times are good. So I feel like that's sort of like a similar thing. Perky, happy, fun, artsy, carefree makeup is there. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you were interested in these, I hope this like helped give a rundown on them. Subscribe if you would like to, and leave me a comment if there's anything you want to see from me. I've had a hard time narrowing down the insane amount of ideas that I have. So if there's something specific, that helps me actually make it. And if you are interested in like a more like full Rituel de Fille video, maybe I could do that as well. Although that sounds very intimidating. All right, I'm gonna head out of here. I think I covered everything I wanted to. So I hope you all are doing well, or as well as you can. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.